Welcome to Thriver Talks with Stephanie and Nalie. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Nalie.
And today is episode 15.
Today we are tackling body image and self-love. On our journey, it's been crazy. We've been through a lot of physical and, even psychological changes due to all the treatments we've been on and the trauma that we've faced. So we're taking episode 15 to tell you about our journey to self-love, how we have learned to accept our new us, new me, and love us because, my God, have we come very, very far.
So without further ado, here is episode 15.
All right. I think this is a really important episode because a lot of people don't know what we've been through based on what we look like. And for one, I'm going to talk to you directly, Stephanie. I think you are glowing. I think you are beautiful.
Thank you.
I always tell her, like, every single person that I meet will be like, oh my gosh, your friend Stephanie is gorgeous. But see how she can't even handle it. She can't handle it. If you guys are not watching this on YouTube or on our social media pages and you're solely on our podcast platform, Steph's blushing and she's slouching and her shoulders are up. What we are trying to get to is to a point where we can just accept our beauty and embrace our goddessness and say yes, thank you, and be grateful for how far and how resilient our bodies have been. But we have to admit our bodies have been through a lot, and it hasn't been easy, right?
At all. I think this episode in particular is really challenging for me because other things I'm like, oh, I got this. But self-love is something that I'm still very much on my journey. Yeah. And as you can see, hence the slouching and the stop talking about me. It's been really hard, and like you said, also having MBC, there's so many misconceptions because on the outside we look like a normal, healthy person. But indeed, like my body has been so altered by cancer, so many physical changes, and I know for you too.
Yeah,
that's hard for me personally to accept, even though on the exterior, things look otherwise.
Okay, let's talk about before, any treatment, before the diagnosis. What did young Steph look like?
Why is this all me?
Well, no, because asking you questions. You can ask me anything as well. I'm an open book.
It's so hard to, I've always been really shy, and I wouldn't say shy, I just never liked a lot of attention. But now I can say this because I'm going to be 40, but when I was younger, I got a lot of attention and, especially in my early 20s and the times of going out. And, even then I realized in hindsight, as sad as it is, like I never thought she was good enough either, that younger version of myself.
I know, I could totally relate.
And when I look back at pictures, I'm like, whoa.
What? You bombshell?
Had a body that rocked the party.
Right? I know. I look at some old pictures and I'm like, what? How did I used to think I was like fat then, when like I was super fit? And it's just like, it's crazy. That's why I'll just say like this journey to self-love is like this ongoing process. It's not because, you have cancer now or you don't have cancer or whatever you're going through, you think you're going to achieve this
but for you,
image.
Like on the outside looking in, with you, it's like you also have this glow and you're beautiful. But I think the difference between you and I is like you own it. And so it almost like when you say you used to feel the same when I was younger, I can't even imagine that, Nalie. So maybe
that was a long journey because young Nalie was I was a lot, like, honestly, I grew up with a lot of acne. So I was that teen with a lot of acne. Yeah. I think we both
adults
took Accutane,
yes.
right? Which is like another episode. Things that cause cancer. But no, I grew up with a lot of acne. But then, we're just talking about what physically looking like prior to my diagnosis at 24 years old was I was always, you know, that girl that everyone was like, what is she? She's so exotic. And like people always compared me to Pocahontas or Jasmine from Aladdin, like that, you know, like exotic princess.
Like
looking,
don't know. Like I wouldn't know. Like,
yeah, so I had like the really thick black hair and then, you know, the naturally long lashes, or everyone's like, are those extensions? No, they're not. They're real. And I was very much into working out at the gym. So I was very toned and muscular. And yeah, I was that fit chick, you know?
Same.
So then came a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah. But wait, really quick before you jump into that. There's a picture.
Oh, snap.
No. This is what's so crazy is because, you know, we almost have 10 years apart.
Yeah.
I'm older. But there's this picture I had from like back in the day on my Instagram that Nalie has. Maybe we can like edit it into this episode, but there's a side by side where we're literally wearing the exact same outfit.
Yes. Same color.
Pose.
Same high ponytail. Like same makeup.
It's pretty scary, like how we looked like in our going out days.
And then like how we call each other Thriver Sis now. We were Thriver Sisters at heart since birth.
It's pretty scary.
But I was born 10 years after you.
Yeah, I'll be the mother hen. So, yes. So already dealing, and you know, when you look back, you're like, wow, it was really beautiful. And I feel like cancer took that from me. Mm-hmm. And I'm still working on feeling beautiful or like looking at myself and being able to see beauty through everything that I've been through. Mm-hmm. So should I just jump into like how?
Well, maybe start with what changed your body? Like, how did your body change?
So for the first couple of years, like I struggled with weight. I actually, when I started treatment, I went really crazy with my diet. Like I just was like juicing and really, really kind of militant with my diet, which really wasn't healthy. But I would lose weight. So I got really skinny and then I gained weight. And I think over years from being on, you know, having ER positive cancer, I started to gain weight, you know, like this extra 10, 15 pounds that just wouldn't come off. And in hindsight, it's not a lot of weight to gain, but I wasn't used to seeing this new version of myself in the mirror. Right. You know, I used to be able to wear little shirts and bathing
crop
suits.
Tops.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, what's that?
I have a question. How fast did that happen? Like the change, your body change. How fast did your body change?
Probably within like the first year of taking hormonal, like inducing drugs.
Right.
And then it wasn't just one hormonal inducing drugs. Even to this day, I'm on 3 of them. Yeah. So even my current oncologist now, I just like, and I was trying to work out so hard to like lose this weight. I've tried everything. And she's like, it's probably not going to come off. Most of my patients, you know, have the same problem. So it was the weight gain. And then
can I just say in parenthesis, a lot of people, again, we're good at breaking misconceptions, but a lot of people associate cancer to weight loss. Yes. And, you know, like the typical frail, like cancer patient who has a loss of appetite, therefore doesn't eat. And like a lot of people, I remember, were shocked when I said that I gained weight. And then they're like, what? Like, isn't it the opposite? Right. But like, because of our diagnosis and the type of treatments we were on, a lot of the treatments are hormonal. So for one, you're in induced menopause. Yes. So your body is affected by that, and it doesn't burn as much fat because of the hormones. Yep. And so you gain weight. And also I know I was on a couple of steroids. Like there were steroids in some of my chemo treatments
that would like cause weight gain.
Oh yeah. And inflammation especially.
Yeah, total misconception. Yeah, you know, so I think too, which has been like a blessing, but I never look like your typical quote unquote stereotypical, I should say, cancer patient. Yeah, stereotypical. Even when I was on the harsh chemo, I never lost my hair, which was a blessing. Mm-hmm. And then what's really interesting, just fast forwarding, just kind of hit the topics of how my body has changed. So definitely weight that I still struggle with. And a lot of it might do with me turning 40 too, but I like to blame everything on cancer. but I definitely noticed a significant change after taking hormonal drugs. And then when I had the recurrence, like prior to discovering the misdiagnosis, I had a really, really, really like aggressive mass that was inflammatory grow in my right breast.
Mm-hmm.
And as I healed, it was really crazy because thank God it healed and went away. But when it healed, it actually took with it all of my breast tissue. So if you were to look at my breasts, it looks like I had a mastectomy.
Yeah.
Like anytime I go to get fitted for a mastectomy, bras are like, oh, what date was your mastectomy? I'm like,
Never
I never had a
one.
mastectomy. My body gave itself almost like a natural mastectomy.
I've never met anyone who has that.
I haven't
has happened
either. I have not either.
I'm telling you, you're like a miracle body.
So my body gave itself a mastectomy. So I essentially have one breast. And I guess like lastly, the thing I struggled with was being on Ibrance. I too used to have the long, fuller hair, and my hair just thinned. And I was very grateful and blessed that it didn't come out completely, but it was almost harder. And I know this might sound crazy to someone who has lost their hair, but I was almost like, it might even have been easier to manage if I could just have lost it all and grown it back together, because I had like such little hair.
Yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, it was really hard to, I couldn't even do a ponytail, but luckily my friend would like literally sew hair into my scalp with the little hair I had. So I wore like, anytime you see me with a big thing of hair is because my friend would like sew a weave literally into my hair. So I could just, it looked crazy. I couldn't leave it the way it was. So I'm grateful that it's growing back to each and every little strand. Lately it's been growing back, a lot of baby hairs. But all to say that I would say weight gain, losing a breast, and my hair has been really, really hard for me to wrap my head around and accept.
For me, it all started with, I guess I'm just trying to go in chronological order. By the way, our podcasts are totally freestyled, so bear with us. So I started with chemo treatment, and that was the harsh, heavy-duty one right off the bat. So I lost my hair within 2 weeks, and I was bald. But I kind of went through like my spiritual awakening upon diagnosis, and it was like a opportunity for me to be like, okay, who am I? And like, who am I truly? And it like that, like for me,
stripped down to your core
completely. I couldn't hide anymore. Like my hair was so thick that I could literally put in front of my face and like you wouldn't even see me, and depending on the hairstyles that I wore, like people wouldn't even recognize me in like university. Like they'd be like, oh, did I meet you? I'm like, I was literally hanging out with you in the cafeteria yesterday, but they wouldn't recognize me because I always look so different depending on my hairstyle. So it was crazy how my hair was a huge part
your identity
of my identity. Absolutely,
like a security blanket, like
100%.
You can always hide behind the hair.
Exactly.
And now you're just stripped.
And that's exactly what I did. So when I lost it, it was like, oh, hello, like, and hello world. And so for me, it was like a big opportunity to really just accept me for who I am and my current situation. And I rocked the bald head, and I owned it. And I rocked headscarves instead because of comfort reasons. So like the bald head never like affected me in that sense the first time around, and even the second time around, I still rocked it, but of course it was like emotionally harder. But then it growing back now, it never really grew back the same. And I'm sure people are watching this on YouTube right now looking at the video like, Nalie, your hair is so long, what are you talking about? But like I literally could separate my ponytail like 5 times and it would be this like thickness, like this is really thin. So again, and then also in relation to you being on Ibrance for a while too, like see all these baby hairs here. Guys, you need to tune into YouTube and search Thriver Talks. We have all these baby we have these baby hairs. So imagine all this used to be bald spots because Ibrance makes your hair thin significantly. I know it's different for everyone, but I just all to say I completely relate to what you were saying, that the thinning and the balding and like different areas of the bald spots is more awkward.
So I have to know, as someone who's never lost my hair, was it easier to manage a bald head than like losing like like hair
it's
thinning?
it's completely two different journeys. I have to say, because like being bald, it's like people like honestly, Steph, like if you were to, only you know, and only I know that my hair is thinning. Like that's what I'm trying to prove on the camera right now. Is like people are probably watching me like, girl, your hair is so long and thick and beautiful, but only I know that that's not how my real hair used to be. Being on all these hormonal therapies, you know. So like everyone, like I said, like there's not one person I met that haven't said that you're like gorgeous, but you only you notice that, you know.
And just if you are bald and you're watching this, I don't want anyone to think that we're like taking this for granted, because I know so many people like, I can't wait till your hair's like that, or till my hair grows back. But I know at like one point when it did initially thin, it was really bad.
Of course,
my hairstylist is also one of my best friends for 25 years, and we kind of crack jokes on each other, and she used to say like I had like 12 hairs.
Yeah,
and
no, your hair, oh my
like
god, Steph's hair, like when I first met you, it's true, I think you really had thin hair, like it was crazy. So this is like a huge improvement. All to say, never lose hope.
Piece.
So and it's true, it's just a different journey. It's like it's completely different. But being bald, it's like more in your face, and people, you know, it accompanies the shock factor, and it accompanies the big stamp of oh, you have cancer in your forehead. So it's like a different journey. And then like I feel like the thinning, it's more like more like psychologically like messes with you, you know. It's like and for me, who's lost my hair not once but twice, it's like a trauma, you know. It's like oh my god, I'm in the shower and then Ibrance is making me lose patches, and then it's like it just reminds me of the worst days of my life. So that messes with me,
of course,
psychologically,
of course.
So that was like, and then chemo as well. And like we were mentioning, I gained a lot of weight, and it was a lot of like the chipmunk cheek.
I remember
phase.
that. Like
you even met me when I was like a little bit more like and swollen very much. And like I think that's something that a lot of people don't know about, like what chemo does. But I was very swollen and bloated, and just like like that was tough, because again, like we said at the beginning of this episode, we were always so fit and like tight. So then it's like you don't even, you know, when you don't recognize yourself in the mirror. And again, the eyebrow situation, we'll give you some eyebrow tips at the end of this episode. But like eyebrows, eyelashes, all of that, like looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, who this? Who is this?
But wait, and I think it's a really it's so true. And I think it's really important to say too that like all of these parts that are being compromised are all of like what make you feminine. So it's like your hair as women, it's like our hair, our breasts. So now I have one breast.
Society says, you know, for what, you know, a woman is and what's sexual and sensual and what makes her beautiful.
See, here I was like feeling super big for my size. Had 12 hairs and one boob. So I felt really like
I feel
unattractive.
You. And speaking of boobs, I then moved on to a total mastectomy. So I currently don't have a nipple on the left side, but I was lucky enough to be able to be eligible for an immediate reconstruction. So I was never flat chested, and I know a lot of women are, and a lot of women choose to remain flat chested, which again we'll speak at the end of the episode. Like you know, it's your choice, whatever makes you feel good. But for me, I was able to get an immediate reconstruction, which helps, I have to say, for me, because I never felt like I was like I lost a breast, because I never woke up with a flat chest.
They did it all at once.
Exactly. So they did the mastectomy, and then they put an immediate expander, and then the expander is like almost like having this rock hard stone that expands your skin, and then you fill it up gradually throughout the year. And then I did radiation. Thankfully, radiation didn't really affect my skin that much. Only towards the end that I have like, it seemed like I had like burnt armpits, which was crazy. But my skin took it fairly well. I guess they also said when you have darker skin, it's easier. And so, and then I got like the right breast. They insert an implant so that it's symmetrical. So on that sense, for my breast, yes, I'm missing a nipple, but I'm also grateful that I like woke up out of surgery and still had breasts, and that really helped. But still, it's weird. Like, it's like you undress yourself and the first thing you see is like this giant scar. It's almost like my breast is like winking at me in the mirror like this. And then it's just a constant reminder, like, oh yeah, that's true. Because often I forget. It's like, oh, I went through that. I had cancer.
Wow.
Do you like how like I use past tense there?
Wow. So all to say that, like, I would never look at you now. I mean, I did know you while you're going through your recurrence and the treatment and losing your hair and becoming swollen. But I think the average person, like, if they were to meet you today, all to say, like, you never know what someone's journey has been or what they're going through or what they have gone through. So I think, like, now having, like, all of that happen to you, how do you feel about it all now?
Okay, so I have phases, For one, I have to say, like, if they're watching us now, it's been a journey of self-care to then reach self-love. And we will definitely give you all our tips towards the end of this episode, but it's been a journey. So that it was during the transitional phase where I was still very inflamed and thinking, like, is this how I'm going to look like for the rest of my life? And I, on the other hand, and I know, like, you said you struggle with this. I feel like I've done so much of the inner work and the healing to just be so proud of my body and what I look like and who I am, and I feel like the exterior doesn't represent.
It's just my boyfriend always says it's just your shell,
Oh,
and it's
I love
like
that.
it's all of our. We all have a shell.
But I'm saying this now that my hair has grown back, and I'm saying it now that my skin is like glowing and that the inflammation went down. But during, it was really, really tough
to look at yourself.
Yeah, and it's just like you get frustrated, and then you always compare, like, I know you used to say this all the time. It's like, I wonder what I'd look like if I didn't go through all of that.
Well, not so much like going through all of it. It's like if I were to come off of like the drugs I'm on now, like, and I'm trying. That's a whole nother thing. But it's like, who is she? What would she look like? Or I do wonder because essentially, I'm turning 40 soon, but for 10 years, like I haven't had control over the way I look necessarily. Yeah. So I wonder, like, I wonder how I would have looked had it not been for cancer. Yeah. And again, I'm so grateful. But these are just personal things because, like I said, like no one sees my one breast in the every day. And I think that I finally got to a place where I didn't resent my body anymore, like through a ton of work. But now I can say my perspective has shifted, and I'm grateful for my body, for all that it's been through misdiagnosis, 9 years of nonstop treatment, hospitalization, surgeries, God knows how many needles, and it just keeps on going. So I'm so grateful. So in that sense, like I've learned to shift my mindset to thank you for this resilient body that has carried me through some of the craziest shit ever. Yeah. So for that, I'm really grateful. And I've definitely, my perspective has shifted, but I think the journey to self-love is ever more, there's always, some days I'm really hard on myself and other days, where I feel really good. So I'm just constantly like a work in progress, trying to accept that this is me and I love me no matter what.
I think currently when I do see my scars or like, even just we get what people always often forget is we get like treatments every month. Yes. So like even like the Faslodex injections and the Zoladex injections, when you do that monthly for it's been over almost 3 years now of me doing some kind of injection, it leaves marks and like, it's really even
and scar tissue, like lumps
tissue, and it's just when you see all that, it's always just like a reminder. And I think that's what I'm struggling with is like
trying to
just
get past
right
it.
Now, as much as like it doesn't affect who I am and how I approach life and like how I see myself every day, but it's just always like sometimes I have those moments where like I see it and then it like it's a trigger. Like that, I think that's something I'm still healing, because you asked me like, how do you feel now today? I think the journey as it continues, or the triggers of seeing the scars and seeing it as a reminder of like, oh crap, I'm very much still in this, and oh my gosh, like all of the past feelings tend to kind of resurface, and then yeah, you gotta like deal with it and do the work.
So how do you deal with it, and what kind of work do you do?
Yes, so when it comes to self-love and body image, so just for that point that I just mentioned, like for me it's about associating a positive memory to it. So instead of seeing my scar and being like, oh my god, it reminds me of the days that I had surgery and a mastectomy, and oh my god, like all the worst days of my life during my cancer journey, it's like, now it's like, wow, look how resilient your body is, look how far you've come. Oh, look, the body has a natural intelligence to heal itself. Look, your wound closed, your skin like was able to regenerate. So just imagine of everything that's regenerating inside you that you don't even see, and it's almost like a reminder that my body can heal, and a reminder of how far I've come.
I just had like a little, that's beautiful, and to add to that, we did a meditation yesterday, and she said something in the meditation where like impermanence, like nothing is permanent.
Nothing is permanent.
Everything is ever changing. So I think like if you're in the middle of your journey right now and you can relate to how we're feeling, just also reminding yourself that this is temporary. A lot of the times these physical changes that your body goes through are temporary. So just knowing that this is just a phase, learning to love yourself exactly where you are, and knowing that more than likely, you know, things will change.
Yeah. So that was one of my tips. But before, I want you to give one of your tips, because I revealed my absolute like worst triggers right now. What's the hardest part for you when it comes to body image? Like right now, like obviously we touched on everything that affected us before in the past and all the changes and the transitions. But like being you sitting here today, like what's something that still like gets to you?
For sure, weight.
Still
100%. I think it came to a point where like I had to like buy bigger clothes, and hence why you get all of my hand-me-downs. Because I literally like couldn't fit my clothes anymore, and it was really hard for me to like part or just accept that, okay, I'm not this size anymore, this is probably what it is. And again, I'm so grateful. Like I know, you know, a lot of people would say that your weight is fine, and it is fine. But for me, just accepting that, and seeing myself like in a bathing suit, or just.
Does it affect you moving forward and achieving the goals that you want to achieve?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's just like that thought in the morning, you know, it's like you're getting dressed, like, damn, these don't fit. Like, you know, like you just want to like shed a tear and keep it moving. I definitely don't let it stop me from anything. But it's a struggle. I think just having to like, and another thing too, which kind of leads into my tips, is it was really hard to find clothing with one breast. So I used to wear V-necks, and I can't wear V-necks anymore, because even like right where your cleavage would start to show, because my body gave itself a mastectomy, it's like very disfigured. Like, it's beautiful, but it's very different looking.
It's beautiful. Another tip, speak positive words.
So, but I definitely can't wear anything V-neck, hence why you'll probably always see me wearing like a higher neckline now. But I used to be not like show a lot of cleavage, but a little.
Yeah.
But definitely those days are over for now. And that was really hard too, and especially finding bras and swimsuits. It's like you can't wear a normal bra. That has been such a struggle, and for anyone who has one breast, it's really hard to like. Well, can I lead into my tip then?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So my question was, so what do you do in that case?
So for a really long time, because I had one breast, what I would do is I would take like pads and like literally stick them together, and then stick them like in my bra to try to mimic a boob so it would look even in a shirt. And that, like, you know, it was hard. It was like a fail, but it was serving its purpose. And then one day, and again, I had to change my entire wardrobe. I couldn't wear bathing suits unless, like, I wore a really high neck bathing suit. You know, it would look really weird, the multiple pads in the suit. And because that was my trick, one day I was getting ready to go to my friend's baby shower, and I had to stop at Nordstrom to buy my stick-on cup to wear because I was wearing, like, a little strapless dress. So I just had to stick the cup on, and then that was my solution. So I needed a new cup, and I went to Nordstrom, and I'm having the sales associate help me find the cup. And I was like, okay, I'll take 2 of those, but I need 2 for the same side. And she's like, looked at me like, huh? And I was like, you know, just to keep it real, I don't have a breast. You know, breast cancer took my breast, so it's really hard for me. And she's like, oh my God, have you ever heard of our mastectomy program? And I was like, what? And so long story short, Nordstrom, which is like such a hidden secret because they don't do advertising. I've even called their corporate office to be like, you know, tried to find who's in charge to say that this needs to be advertised. But all to say that a really big tip of mine is if you are struggling because you do have one breast or one's larger than the other, Nordstrom has a mastectomy program. And you just go, insurance covers it, and they give you a free prosthesis, which is what I wear now. And in addition to giving you the prosthesis, they fit you, so you have the right size. And then they also, for free, will sew pockets into bras and swimwear that you purchase from them. So, and insurance covers bras as well. So I go 4 times a year, and Nordstrom gives me like 3-4 bras, and they sew the pocket, and I wear my prosthesis, and that has been like life changing for me, is finding this program. And I know there's another company, I believe, called Knitted Knockers.
Anna Ono too, doesn't she?
So Knitted Knockers will make a prosthesis for you. I think it's more knitted, whereas the one that I wear from Nordstrom is gel, so it looks and feels like breast tissue. And Anna Ono makes amazing lingerie and swimwear where you could, like, where it has the pockets where you could put the prosthesis in. So look for ways to get around. You know, you don't have to, you know, I didn't know I had options. So I guess knowing that you have options is like a huge tip. And I think that those are 2 really big tips.
And with those options available, just because they're there doesn't mean, you know, you have to feel like you have to do that. Because I know, like I was saying, you know, some people prefer remaining flat-chested, which is great. And that's beautiful too. Absolutely. Your choice is beautiful, but it has to be your choice, and you have to own that choice. You have to, and this is my rule, do what makes you feel less stressed in the morning and less anxious about, like, just getting up and going about your everyday life. And if less stress means inserting a prosthesis and you're like, okay, or if less stress means putting on a wig and a weave, and then you're like, okay, I can move forward, then do that. For me, it was the absolute opposite. When I put on a wig, I was like, it was so weird. I was like, oh, I forget that you guys can't see me if you're listening, but I was itchy and uncomfortable. And so for me, that caused more stress in my everyday life. So rocking like the headscarf instead, I felt comfortable, I felt cool, I felt a little like Alicia Keys. So that made me happy. You got to do what makes you happy. You have a great video, right? On YouTube? I have some tutorials, headscarf tutorials. If you search Nalie, Nalie, and like how to tie a turban or headscarf tutorials, you'll see about, like, I think I had 3 up online right now. That's the main tip. It's like,
and it's so cute. Sorry, like I would literally like look at, I see women rocking the headscarves, and it looks very cool. Like, I don't know, it's just like a great tool.
But sometimes people hate headscarves, and so it's like you have to really rock the bald head and just get the rule of thumb is do what brings you less stress. So even for me, I was just talking about my eyebrows. My eyebrows never grew back the way they used to be. In fact, they kind of did after my first rounds of chemotherapy, but then after the recurrence and then I did more chemotherapy, it was over. I had gaps everywhere. It was just really thin, and I couldn't leave the house without putting makeup. But now, you guys are watching this online.
They look really good.
These are ombre tattoos. But things like ombre brow tattooing, microblading are options that are life-changing. And I just want to give a big shout out to Lily, Framed Faces on Instagram, who was kind enough to and generous enough to do my brows for free, just because she said I inspired her, and she doesn't even have cancer. She's just someone who's been following me and said, I admire you, and I want to give this as a gift because I know what you've been through, and I know how important brows are to a woman's life. So this is for you. So, and on top of that, there are so many ombre brow tattoo artists or microbladers, whatever you want to call them, who are offering free treatments for women with cancer. Yeah. A lot of people, and like a lot of people message me after saying like, oh yeah, I got mine for free as well, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
So, you know, because it can be quite pricey. So look, I always say like, there are always options, you know? So if your brows, like for me, it was something that really affected me, or I was like, oh, I gotta draw them in, which is an option too, if you like putting on makeup. But ideally, me, for someone who's very simple, like I like to throw my hair up in a ponytail and like run out of the house. Like the only thing that caused, again, stress in my life was the gaps in my brows that just made me just changed my face and my allure overall.
Well, now they look beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to take a trip to Montreal.
They're gonna get a bit darker. I'm like in the second phase, but yeah.
No, they look amazing. And I think too, even though it's hair, but just because our journeys have been different with hair, and just really quickly, if you want to throw some extensions in to make your hair look fuller, by all means, if it makes you feel good, do it. And I know that neither of us have done this, but it's very popular. It's getting lash extensions. If you want to wear fake lashes just to make yourself feel better during this period, then by all means, whatever is going to make you feel
for
good.
You. Absolutely.
I think the last tip kind of I have, because we touched on like breast
weight.
And is weight. For me, the biggest thing or the biggest tip I can give is, if you have to move up to a different size, then move up to your size.
Yes.
And let go of the old clothing. I was trying to fit into my smaller clothing. I was a size small forever. And I was trying to wear size small clothing, knowing damn well I wasn't a size small. And I think for me, it was just like finally releasing, okay, like, and it wasn't even, so it was just like, okay, that's not my size anymore. And, I had to buy literally an entire new wardrobe, but just finally when I released that and found clothes that fit me, I felt better. I was like, oh, I don't have to have these like tight jeans on with no wonder my stomach's hanging over, because they're 3 sizes too small. So I think surrendering and buying clothes that are appropriate size for you.
Amen. I like to always find the source of the problem. And what the problem is normally is that it's not necessarily the fact that women find their current selves like ugly or hideous or whatever. The problem is they're always comparing themselves to their old self.
Sure.
And so when they look at themselves in the mirror, they're always like, this is not what I look like, you know, but instead of trying to make yourself look like what you looked like before, try to look like your best self now.
Best version of you.
Be the best version of you right now. So in terms of the weight and the clothes issue, buy the most beautiful outfit that makes you feel good, that not only makes you like look good, but that you feel comfortable in. And do your hair. And if your hair is short at the time, like get a really cute fresh cut, like shave the side of your head, do like the really cool things that you would have never done otherwise had you not lost your hair. Work with what you got. And that was what my like big epiphany was owning it, and also it helped me accept my reality at that moment in order to then move forward and then do little things where I can improve to then achieve the person I am now and the look that I have now, which was not what I had like a year ago, you know?
It's crazy. I mean, even just to see how much your body changed in like 1 year, it just, again, goes to show like the gratitude that we should have for our bodies, because they're so resilient and ever changing. Nothing's permanent. And like, I've literally seen you morph from like the bald, you know,
that's true. That's when we first met, was on Skype.
Chemo. Yeah, we were finding pictures the other night, and you had like a little buzz cut, you know.
Yeah.
So I've seen for you, I've kind of, you know, like I said, my journey's been different having this diagnosis from day one, but I've seen you through so many looks.
Yeah.
And but you rocked every single stage. Like,
that's my biggest tip.
And that was very inspiring. And I think anyone who's going through like, you know, hair loss or anything, that's like such a great tip.
Yeah. So I guess overall gratitude, overall owning it. But I guess the next point I wanted to jump into is, okay, you did that. You're grateful for your body now, so you're not, you know, using really negative words that you would never use onto anyone else. So how dare you say that about yourself? You know, my rule is you can't say what you like, anything you would never tell me, Stephanie, you should never tell yourself.
It's true.
And vice versa. Like, treat yourself as if you were your best friend, and like that really helps. And then once you've owned it and you've accepted it, okay, that gives you the motivation to get out of bed and to start your day and like stop being so like negative and hard on yourself. But then when you reach that point, this is where you take action.
Yes.
Because I agree with Steph. We have a tendency of just, and I know this is going to be, it could be taken wrong, but like we tend to blame a lot on cancer.
Oh, for sure.
And when I say that, I'm not trying to like say, oh, your cancer is not that bad. No, come on. Like, we're living with stage 4 diagnosis here. So trust me, I'm not saying this to be like, minimizing your cancer diagnosis and your side effects. What I'm trying to say is sometimes that attitude doesn't encourage us to take action.
Well, it's like blaming. So it's like, oh, it's cancer's fault. I have no control over this.
So let me just, like not do anything about it. So now that you're in a good mindset, I think it's about seeing, like, there's a lot that's out of our control, such as what happens to us. So, okay, this is our reality. But there's things that you can control in life. And that is, okay, what are you eating?
Absolutely.
What are you drinking? How are you sleeping?
Yes.
What are you doing? Is it participating in your illness or your wellness and your goals? So I know we both wanted to get back to our BMI, our ideal body weight. And so we started implementing exercise,
just being really mindful of what you're eating, especially, you know, like when you have these drugs working kind of for you in terms of fighting cancer, but against you in terms of like gaining weight. It's like you have to be really conscious about the choices that you're making. Maybe pre-cancer you could eat,
absolutely,
you know, like I could eat whatever I wanted, and that's not the case anymore. So just absolutely being mindful, living in like a state of mindfulness about the way you speak to yourself. Are you getting adequate sleep? Are you your diet? Are you supplementing? All of the things that we're currently writing about
in the Thriver's Guide.
But really being mindful and making like mindful choices, you know. Am I doing everything that I can? You know, here, this is what I want to achieve. Okay, but I can't achieve this by sitting in bed. How can I participate to, like Nalie said, to achieve what my goal is?
And I feel like that I mentioned that really comes almost like in steps, because that has to come after finally being grateful for your body, because you're implementing these steps not out of like anger and fear. I feel like that's every person who's ever started a diet because they hate their body and they're like, oh my God, I'm so fat, so I'm going on this diet. That's where your diet doesn't work. Instead, you're so grateful for how far your body has come, how resilient, how much it's been working to heal you, and oh my gosh, you poor body, you've been through so much. Let me take care of you. So let me nourish you with food that's going to help you heal, that's going to make you feel good, to do things out of love, not out of hatred and out of fear, right?
Amen. And I think the personal like touch to wrap this up is I've been the person that's like, I'm going to try this diet, I'm going to do ketotarian. And obviously if I am totally honest, my biggest motivation was the weight loss. But I finally surrendered all of that, and I was like, look, these aren't sustainable ways of eating for me personally, even though they're doing miraculous things for other people. For me, it wasn't. And so I'm like, I know how to eat. I've been on this journey long enough. I know what I need to give my body for it to be nourished and healthy. So I just started eating out of love instead of fear, and making choices that, you know, like I know how to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for like the past month, and then I saw you and you're like, oh, you lost a little weight. And I was, you know.
You also said, oh my God, like you put on your tight pair of black jeans.
Yes. they haven't fit. Like they were like those jeans you have to like struggle to button, and they just buttoned. And I was like, wow, I think my act of surrendering and just loving myself and just saying, look, these diets aren't working. I've been so hard on myself. I'm just going to start eating and taking care of myself the way I know how to, and I surrender.
And that's what it means to heal from the inside out.
Yes.
Because once you start doing that, it really starts with the mind, and then, you know, being in a good mindset to then take these steps and these actions. But then what you'll notice is when you feed your body with so much love, then your hair starts growing longer, and then your skin starts glowing. And everyone's always asking me, what's your skincare routine, and what do you put in your hair, what's your shampoo? And like, I genuinely believe it's because it's like from the inside out, you know, like because I'm nourishing my body, because I'm being so kind to myself, because I'm so grateful, my body's just like,
thank you.
Okay, now I could just do what I need to do and grow your hair and like it's supposed to. And it's just like, I feel like that's the main issue for everybody, cancer or no cancer, right?
So true. It's so true.
Yeah.
So
that's like, really, I think that's what, you know, now you know what we've been through, which it was not easy. You know that we still have
on this journey of
self-love. We still have insecurities. We're only human. But those are our tips, and we really hope that they help you.
Amen. And that you are beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
No matter what stage you are on your journey.
You are beautiful.
No cancer.
You are shining.
Bald, long hair, 1 boob, 2 boobs, no boobs.
And P.S., you are enough.
Amen.
I really want to end it on that note, because that's something we always want more, right? We always want more. We think that even like we said, we were hard on ourselves when we were those young Steph and young Nalie, fit as ever, but I wanted a 6-pack.
And you're like, wow, you are so beautiful. What was I doing to you? Why was I torturing you?
Yeah. So it all starts with some self-love and acceptance, and just be kind to yourself.
Amen. I think that is such an important message. And if you know anybody who could benefit from this message, who's not feeling good about themselves, or feeling down in the dumps, or starting treatment, or they're in the middle of treatment and struggling with, you know, the way that their body's changing and their look, please share this episode with them. And our podcast can be found on any major podcast platform, and sign up for our newsletter. It's www.thethriversguide.com. So all of our episodes will go straight to your inbox, and review us and leave us a rating too.
Please. And don't forget, where there's a thriver's will, there's a thriver's way. Talk to you in the next one. Bye.